All right. The Kybalion. The 7 Hermetic Principles. Now it's about to get good. The 7 Hermetic Principles. The principles of truth are 7. He who understands these understandingly possesses the magic key before whose touch all the doors of the temple fly open. The Kybalion. The 7 Hermetic Principles, upon which the entire Hermetic philosophy is based, are as follows. Number 1, the principle of mentalism. Number 2, the principle of correspondence. Number 3, the principle of vibration. Number 4, the principle of polarity. Number 5, the principle of rhythm. Number 6, the principle of cause and effect. And number 7, the principle of gender. The 7 Hermetic Principles will be discussed and explained as we proceed with these lessons. A short explanation of each, however, may as well be given at this point. The principle of mentalism. The all is mind, the universe is mental, the Kybalion. This principle embodies the truth that all is mind. It explains that the all, which is the substantial reality underlying all the outward manifestations and appearances which we know under the terms of the material universe, the phenomena of life, matter, energy, and in short, all that is apparent to our material senses is spirit, which in itself is unknowable and undefinable, but which may be considered and thought of as an universal, infinite, living mind. It also explains that all the phenomenal world or universe is simply a mental creation of the all, subject to the laws of created things, and that the universe as a whole and in its parts or units has its existence in the mind of the all, and in which mind we live and move and have our being. This principle, by establishing the mental nature of the universe, easily explains all of the varied mental and psychic phenomena that occupy such a large portion of the public attention, and which, without such explanation, are non-understandably and defy science treatment. An understanding of this great Hermetic principle of mentalism enables the individual to readily grasp the laws of the mental universe and to apply the same to his well-being and advancement. The Hermetic student is enabled to apply intelligently the great mental laws instead of using them in a haphazard manner. With the master key in his possession, the student may unlock the many doors of the mental and psychic temple of knowledge and enter the same freely and intelligently. This principle explains the true nature of energy, power, and matter, and why and how all these are subordinate to the mastery of mind. One of the old Hermetic masters wrote, long ages ago, he who grasps the truth of the mental nature of the universe is well advanced on the path to mastery. And these words are as true today as at the time they were first written. Without the master key, mastery is impossible, and the student knocks in vain at the many doors of the temple. Number 2, the principle of correspondence. As above, so below. As below, so above. The Kybalion. This principle embodies that the truth that there is always a correspondence between the laws and phenomena of the various planes of being in life. The old Hermetic axioms ran in these words: as above, so below; as below, so above. And the grasping of this principle gives one the means of solving many a dark paradox, the hidden secret of nature. There are planes beyond our knowing, but when we apply the principle of correspondence to them, we are able to understand much that would otherwise be unknowable to us. This principle of the universal application and manifestation on the various planes of the material, mental, and spiritual universe, it is an universal law. The ancient Hermeticists considered this principle as one of the most important mental instruments by which man was able to pry aside the obstacles which hid from view the unknown. Its use even tore aside the veil of Isis to the extent that a glimpse of the face of the goddess might be caught. Just as knowledge of the principles of geometry enable man to measure distant suns and their movements while seated in his observatory, so a knowledge of principle of correspondence enables man to reason intelligently from the known to the unknown. Studying the monad, he understands the archangel. Number 3, the principle of vibration. Nothing rests, everything moves, everything vibrates. This principle embodies the truth that everything is in motion, everything vibrates, nothing is at rest. Facts which modern science endorses and which each new scientific discovery tends to verify, and yet this Hermetic principle was insinuated thousands of years ago by the masters of ancient Egypt. This principle explains that the differences between different manifestations of matter, energy, mind, and even spirit result largely from varying rates of vibration, from the all, which is pure spirit, down to the grossest form of matter. All is in vibration. The higher the vibration, the higher the position in the scale. The vibration of spirit is at such an infinite rate of intensity and rapidity that it is practically at rest. Just as rapidly moving wheels seem to be motionless, and at the other end of the scale there are gross forms of matter whose vibrations are so low as to seem at rest. Between these poles there are millions upon millions of varying degrees of vibration, from corpuscle and electron, atom and molecule, to worlds and universes, everything in its vibratory motion. This is also true on the planes of energy and force, which are but varying degrees of vibration, and also on the mental planes, whose states depend upon vibrations, and even on to the spiritual planes. An understanding of this principle with the appropriate formulas enables Hermetic students to control their own mental vibrations as well as those of others. The masters who also apply this principle to the conquering of natural phenomena in various ways. He who understands the principle of vibration has grasped the scepter of power, says one of the old writers. The principle of polarity. Everything is dual. Everything has poles. Everything has its pair of opposites. Like and unlike are the same. Opposites are identical in nature, but different in degree. Extremes meet. All truths are but half-truths. All paradoxes may be reconciled. This principle embodies the truth that everything is dual. Everything has two poles. Everything has its pair of opposites, all of which were old Hermetic axioms. It explains the old paradoxes that have perplexed so many, which have been stated as follows. Thesis and antithesis are identical in nature, but different in degree. Opposites are the same, differing only in degree. The pair of opposites may be reconciled. Extremes meet. Everything is and isn't at the same time. All truths are but half-truths. Every truth is half false. There are two sides to everything, etc., etc., etc. It explains that everything there are two poles, or opposite aspects, and that opposites are really only the two extremes of the same thing, with many varying degrees between them. To illustrate, heat and cold, although opposites, are really the same thing, the difference consisting merely of degrees of the same thing. Look at the thermometer and see if you can discover where heat terminates and cold begins. There is no such thing as absolute heat or absolute cold. The two terms of heat and cold simply indicate varying degrees of the same thing, and that same thing which manifests as heat and cold is merely a form, variety, and rate of vibration. So heat and cold are simply two poles of that which we call heat, and the phenomena attendant thereupon, manifestations of the principle of polarity. The same principle manifests in the case of light and darkness, which are the same thing, the difference consisting of varying degrees between the two poles of phenomena. Where does darkness leave off and light begin? What is the difference between large and small, between hard and soft, between black and white, between sharp and dull, between noise and quiet, between high and low, between positive and negative? The principle of polarity explains these paradoxes, and no other principle can supersede it. The same principle operates on the mental plane. Let us take a radical and extreme example of love and hate, two mental states apparently totally different, and yet there are degrees of hate and degrees of love at the middle point, in which we use terms like or dislike, which shade into each other so gradually that sometimes we are at a loss to know whether we like or dislike or neither. And all are simply degrees of the same thing, as you will see if you will but think a moment. And more than this, and considered of more importance by the Hermetists, it is possible to change the vibrations of hate to the vibrations of love in one's own mind and in the minds of others. Many of you who read these lines have personal experiences of involuntary rapid transition from love to hate. In the reverse, in your own case and that of others, and you will therefore realize the possibility of this being accomplished by the use of the will, by means of Hermetic formulas. Good and evil are but poles of the same thing, and Hermeticists understand the art of transmuting evil into good by means of application of the principle of polarity. In short, the art of polarization becomes a phase of mental alchemy, known and practiced by the ancients and modern Hermetic masters. An understanding of the principle will enable one to change his own polarity as well as that of others, if he will devote the time to study necessary to master the art. The next one is the principle of rhythm. Everything flows in and out. Everything has its tides. All things rise and fall. The pendulum swings, manifest in everything. The measure of the swing to the right is the measure of the swing to the left. Rhythm compensates. The Kybalion. This principle embodies the truth that in everything there is manifested a measured motion to and fro, a flow and inflow. a swing backward and forward, a pendulum-like movement, a tide-like ebb and flow, a high tide, a low tide, between the two poles which exist in accordance with the principle of polarity described a moment ago. There is always an action and a reaction, an advance and retreat, a rising and sinking. This is in the affair of the universe, suns, worlds, men, animals, mind, energy, matter. This law is manifest in the creation and destruction of worlds, in the rise and fall of nations, in the life of all things, and finally in the mental states of man. And it is with this latter that the Hermeticists find the understanding of the principle most important. The Hermeticists have grasped this principle, finding its universal application, and have also discovered certain means to overcome its effects in themselves by the use of appropriate formulas and methods. They apply the mental law of neutralization. They cannot annul the principle or cause it to cease its operation, but they have learned how to escape its effects upon themselves to a certain degree, depending upon the mastery of the principle. They have learned how to use it instead of being used by it. In this and similar methods consists the art of the Hermeticist. The master of Hermetics polarizes himself at the point which he desires to rest, and then neutralizes the rhythmic swing of the pendulum which would tend to carry him to the other pole. All individuals who have attained any degree of self-mastery do this to a certain degree, more or less unconsciously, but the master does this consciously and by the use of his will, and attains a degree of poise and mental firmness almost impossible of belief on the part of the masses, who are swung backward and forward like a pendulum. This principle and that of polarity have been closely studied by Hermeticists, and the methods of counteracting, neutralizing, and using them form an important part of the Hermetic mental alchemy. The next one is the principle of cause and effect. Every cause has an effect. Every effect has its cause. Everything happens according to law. Chance is but a name for law, not recognized. There are many planes of causation, but nothing escapes the law. The Kybalion. This principle embodies the fact that there is a cause for every effect, an effect for every cause. It explains that everything happens according to the law, that nothing ever merely happens, that there is no such thing as chance, that while there are various planes of cause and effect, the higher dominating the lower planes, still nothing ever entirely escapes the law. The Hermeticists understand that the art and methods of rising above the ordinary plane of cause and effect to a certain degree, and by mentally rising to a higher plane, they become causers instead of effects. The masses of people are carried along, obedient to environment, the wills and desires of others stronger than themselves, heredity, suggestion, and the other outward causes moving them about like pawns on the chessboard of life. But the masters, rising to the plane above, dominate their moods, characters, qualities, and powers, as well as the environment surrounding them, and become movers instead of pawns. They help to play the game of life instead of being played and moved about by other wills and environment. They use the principle instead of being its tools. The masters obey the causation of the higher planes, but they help to rule on their own plane. In this statement, there is condensed a wealth of Hermetic knowledge. Let him read who can. And the last one, the principle of gender. Gender is everything. Everything has its masculine and feminine principles. Gender manifests on all planes. The principle embodies that the truth that there is gender manifests in everything, the masculine and feminine principles ever at work. This is true not only of the physical plane, but of the mental and spiritual planes. On the physical plane, the principle manifests as sex, and on the higher planes, it takes higher forms, but the principle is ever the same. No creation, physical, mental, or spiritual, is possible without this principle, and understanding of its laws will throw light on many subjects that has perplexed the minds of men. The principle of gender works ever in the direction of generation, regeneration, and creation. Everything in every person contains the two elements or principles, or this great principle within it. Him or her, every male thing has the female element. Also, every female contains the male principle. If you would understand the philosophy of the mental and spiritual creation, generation, and regeneration, you must understand and study this Hermetic principle. It contains the solution of many mysteries of life. We caution you that this principle has no references to the many base, pernicious, and degrading lustful theories, teachings, and practices which are taught under fanciful titles and which are prostitution of the great natural principle of gender. Such base revivals of the ancient infamous forms of phallicism tend to ruin mind, body, and soul, and Hermetic philosophy has ever sounded the warning note against these degraded teachings which tend to ward lust and perversion of nature's principles. If you seek such teachings, you must go elsewhere for them. Hermeticism contains nothing for you along these lines. To the pure, all things are pure. To the base, all things are base. So that's chapter 2. I just read through all 7 of the principles. Now, it's a lot of metaphysical stuff going on here, and I want to say something about all this. So the 7 principles. The first one is all is mind. The universe is mental. That means the all is mind, okay? So what we know to be as God is all. And what is all? All is everything, right? Not some things, not most things. It's everything that has ever been or would ever be. It is everlasting. Okay? It never was created. It was always here, right? This is the all. And what it's saying is that it's mind, okay? It's some sort of intelligence which we are part of in little fragments of, okay? It's a living mind, which everything comes into being based on mind, based on this. Nothing grows wings to fly. Nothing grows petals to soak up sun without mind, without the creative intelligence of God, which we are all a part of. Okay? Like, it doesn't matter if you don't believe in it, then it doesn't lose any power. You may cut yourself off from power if you don't believe in that you are a part of everything that has ever been and will ever be, that you're not separate from that. Then if you want to separate yourself from that spring of life, then that's up to you. The second one is principle of correspondence. And that's a good feeling, right? That you are a part of the most powerful thing. You're a part of the all. You know, they created everything. That's you. That's me. You know, you cannot be killed. You know, you cannot be killed because that life cannot be killed. This is not. It can change and go to another different planes and everything, but it cannot be killed. So you shouldn't fear death. You know what I'm saying? Like most religious teachings would have you do, to fear God and stuff like that. It doesn't sound like the right God. Okay, it doesn't sound right. It's not. Doesn't. So it doesn't sound. It's not right. You know. Okay. The principle of correspondence. As above, so below. Corresponding. There's always a correspondence between life. Um, and that. If I decide to sprint, first I'm going to walk, and then I'm going to jog, and then I'm going to be breaking out into a sprint. Like, even if I decide to just break out into a sprint, there's correspondence from my mind to my body, okay? And so that's correspondence there. All magic is based on correspondence, okay? So, for instance, old voodoo magic. You create a little doll of your enemy. Then you take needles and you pluck the doll, trying to do harm to your enemy. Now, this is basic black magic, but it's just going to give you an idea of correspondence. This is my enemy that I've created, literally, this little figure. And when I strike this figure, my enemy will feel that. There will be a correspondence. You see what I'm saying? So, that's black magic, which you should never use, because this is what happens. If you try to hurt, you will be hurt with the same level that you tried to hurt. This is the law, okay? So so it's like, okay. Principle of correspondence. So, that will make things that were hidden, make them, able to be seen. Number 3, the principle of vibration. And this one's big. Is the sound of the universe spinning on its axis, supposedly. And what this vibration does, and what these chants do, these is they, on a scientific level, they cure cerebral spinal fluid. They, we're responsible for, like, thinning the skull and enlarging the brain on a scientific level. Also, if I get on the treadmill and run really, really hard, my heart rate's going to go up. My internal beat is going to go up. Okay? So now that I've trained this over and over, my resting heart rate is going to be, like, my capacity to go to this highest vibration has become possible now. And what it's saying is that spirit is the highest vibration. So fast that it looks still, that you wouldn't be able to recognize it with the naked eye. But that this is what, spirit is the underlying cause of anything that is made in the material universe. Also, anything that is in the material universe that's so-called solid is not solid. It is just its molecules and its atoms are just vibrating at a different rate, from a oak tree to, a diamond. Like, nothing in the universe is solid. Nothing is solid. And, it's all held together by vibration. So that goes right into the principle of polarity, which I'm going to come back because okay, the principle of polarity, everything is dual, and okay, right, it goes right into this, right? Because if nothing in the material universe is solid, then definitely our beliefs are not solid, okay? The only thing that is absolute is change. What's happening? The principle of polarity. Nothing. If nothing in the material universe is solid, even a diamond, right? Then our beliefs are not going to be solid either. It's like, doesn't matter how heavily you believed in, Christianity, it's flawed. Okay, like it doesn't matter how much you believed in democracy, it's flawed. Okay, it doesn't matter, And so it's like, well, people are like, well, then fuck it. What should I believe? There's nothing to believe. But it's like, it can be more right though. It can be more true. It can be more close to that absolute, which is where we came from. So the principle of polarity, that everything is dual, and we live in this dual world, and this Tower of Babel has scrambled people's brains, and into thinking that, well, no one's completely good. Everybody's evil. They got a little evil in them somewhere, That's true. But it's also true that I love my family. And it's more true that I love my family than it is that I'm evil. So that's more true. If you do jujitsu, it will change your life for the better. If you dedicate your life to jujitsu, it will change your life for the better. So that is more true. That is closer to the absolute, which again is where we're from. Okay, you can't have two without the one. And Pythagorean theorem and Pythagoras, you cannot divide the one. What are you gonna do? Divide it in half, and then you got two ones. It's still one. You cannot divide that. That absolute, which again we are all a part of. That one. Okay. So the principle of polarity, but it's good. It shows you, it's like that. It's from the principle of vibration right into the principle of polarity. That if nothing in the material universe is solid, definitely no beliefs are really solid, and luckily, we can find some universal truths because these laws are present on every single plane: physical, mental, spiritual, and beyond. Okay, to infinity and beyond. They work. This is what is happening. Okay, I breathe in and out. The tide rises and falls. The black holes expand and contract. On every level. We can keep going up. We can keep going. Okay? So there's that. I'm just giving you a little bit of my feedback on this stuff. The principle of rhythm. So now we got two poles, and the rhythm is between those two poles. You got somebody who's bipolar, and they go from one extreme to the next. And what you need to understand is that it's all a mental alchemy. That's like when you feel this emotion come over you, and you're trying to react, and you feel like possessed to react. It's like in that moment, if you can you can change. And a lot of times it's really just focusing on the breath. It's like, well, I'm God anyways, so it doesn't really matter if nobody agreed with me. or they all thought I was an idiot or whatever. It doesn't matter. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't matter. Like, we're all just trying our best. You know what I mean? So, you know, you know, so the principle of rhythm, you know, the more rhythm that you have, I use it in my martial arts. I'll do a 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2, and that's a rhythm. And same in music, timing, you know. And then you break the rhythm and you create dissonance and you create melodies and everything else that comes with it. You see, now all these things come and they stem from these laws. Okay. Um, Principle of rhythm. Principle of cause and effect. So, you know, the principle of cause and effect. Every cause has an effect. Every effect has its cause. Understand, you know, that rising above the ordinary plane of cause and effect, you don't want to just be reacting to your emotions, like, and be controlled by them. You know, because that's gonna take you down a wrong path. It's like, well, why did you, you know, I thought they shot me. I thought they shot a gun at me, so I shot them. So I shot them back, and really they just had a fire cracker, but I killed them. But you know, they shouldn't have been holding that firecracker. Like, no, you shouldn't have shot them. Like, you get what I'm saying? It's like there's going to be a cause and effect here. There's a cause and effect, and nobody can escape this. You know, if you take Prozac and you sit around and you say that the world is screwed up because, you know, so and so passed away, and you know, I've been working really hard and I deserve better than this, and you know, if you know, you can make all the excuses you want, and you guess what? That will be your reality. That will be your reality. Life will be nothing. Life will mean absolutely nothing. You won't even know yourself. And if you don't know yourself, you definitely will not find recognize anything that I'm talking about. You definitely will not recognize any universal truth. You know, you got to be pure. You have to be pure. There's always going to be a decision to be made. So just prepare yourself. Get food, good food, water, rest, everything, you know, so that way in those moments you can make the right decision. If you make good decisions, you know, good, and it's not just about being a good person, but that is important. You know, you can be a good person when other people are watching, or you can just be a good person if people are watching or if they're not watching. And that's what really makes up your character. And, you know, when you can rise from these lower planes, like, you will gain power. You will gain significant power over what is going on in your environment, and as well as yourself, you know. I can attest to this because this is what's going on in my life. I have been studying this doctrine for years. I just now got the book, but I've been reading it over and over online throughout the years, you know. And it reminds me that, you know, I didn't make up these rules, but they're good rules. It's good laws. Like, if you take care of yourself and treat yourself well, you will feel better. And then once you feel better and you take care of yourself more and you push yourself even more to learn and be creative and to and you challenge your physicality and you recharge your vehicle, your body, you treat it as a literal temple, you know, then you're going to go from feeling good to feeling great. You're going to just keep going up on these levels. And then, like, you're not going to have to worry about addiction. You're not going to have to worry about jealousy and envy and, you know, these things that have corrupted lower minds that are pawns in this game. You get what I'm saying? Like, this shit is important, you know? Like, so, and then the last one is principle of polarity, principle of rhythm, principle of cause and effect, and then principle of gender. You know, this chair that I'm sitting in, it's a masculine chair. It's light. It's a masculine light. You know, You know, and everything has gender like manifest in it. The sun is supposed to be the father, the moon is the mother, the moon is reflection. And this is how they store it in all these symbols, symbols. Oh, the water bearer, she's holding a chalice. Oh, the father, when I go to my father's temple, said Christ, and that's masculine. It's masculine. I go to my father's house, uh, he's going to give me that wisdom, when I go sit and fast for 40 days and only get fed by manna from God, I'm going to be connected with God, because at that point nothing else is even keeping you alive besides spirit. So then you're going to become in contact with this power. You're going to recognize this power more, and it will recognize you more, and this bond is formed. Yeah. So there's that. That's chapter 2. I just wanted to give you a little bit. I could keep going on and on about each one of these principles, and I'm going to, because I study this stuff. Mind is the root. You have to have control over your own mind. Don't watch commercials. Don't, listen to negative conversation. Don't speak negatively. Don't think negatively. If you catch yourself thinking negatively, then do something else. To where you are so involved in doing that you can't, about doing this thing, like jujitsu, right? That you don't have time to think negatively. Okay? This is where these arts conquer this stuff abstractly. It's like, all right, well, I'm not really feeling it. Like, oh, I woke up, whatever, feeling kind of whatever. Well, I'm gonna go train, and then I'm gonna feel better. Like, it's just that's how this stuff works. But you have to be committed to it, because you're only gonna get as much as you put in. It's perfect. It's perfect. You're only gonna get as much as you put in. Nothing more, nothing less. It's perfect. It is absolute. That power that we come from is absolute. It is perfect. It is love and law. Not only law, like, these are the rules, but hey, if you play the game the right way, you're going to get rewarded beyond belief. You're going to be light on your feet. You're going to wake up and feel enthusiastic about the day. Your relationships are going to get better. Things will just come to you and happen. The so-called law of attraction. And but you have to sort yourself out internally if you want to be effective in this external world. Otherwise, you're trying to force things to happen. And like I said, we come from that one almighty power, which doesn't even need to force.